"It's down here," said the White Rabbit, pointing to a familiar entrance on the street. "Oh, I know what that is," replied Alice, who, although she lived in the country, had often been up to London. "That's the Underground." "You're wrong," the White Rabbit declared. "It's the Wunderground. Look for yourself." And sure enough, the entrance had the word Wunderground on it. "Why is it called that, please?" inquired Alice. "Because it makes you wonder," the White Rabbit broke off. "Anyhow, you'll see. May I offer you a lift?" Alice found herself travelling down, down, down in the lift with a lot of other people, but there wasn't anything remarkable to be seen just yet. They left the lift and came to a notice that said, "To the trains." "Are we going somewhere by train?" she asked, and at that the White Rabbit laughed. "That's a misleading notice," he explained. "There aren't any trains, you see, only troglodytes." Troglodytes? Alice had heard the word once or twice, and thought it sounded rather sinister, something to do with frogs and goggle eyes. "That's it," said the White Rabbit. "No trains, only troglodytes. Cave dwellers, you know. Folk who live beneath the earth, like me. I'm a born troglodyte, of course, but these people simply had to become troglodytes. This way, please." They went down a flight of stairs and came out onto a platform. It presented an amazing sight. Everywhere the eye could see, people were lying and sitting in all sorts of positions, some on rugs, some on mattresses, some actually on the line itself. Some were asleep, some were playing cards, some just reading or chatting in whispers. "Why, of course, this is one of the tube shouters," cried Alice, thinking how silly she was not to have realised this before. Then she pointed at the tunnel. "What happens in there?" she asked. "It's all bunk," answered the White Rabbit, and sure enough, people were sleeping in bunks slung between the rails. "I am sorry for them," said Alice. "They're not sorry for themselves," the White Rabbit replied. "It's better to be safe than sorry, you know." "I suppose it is safe down here," pondered Alice. "Safe? Of course it is. Safer than houses." "We used to say safe as houses," Alice objected. "That's not very safe these days," returned her guide scornfully, and Alice, thinking of the bombed buildings she had seen in the London streets, felt bound to agree. But even though there was now a raid on overhead, quiet reigned in the station. "It's certainly still down here," remarked Alice. "Still shelters run deep," said the White Rabbit. Alice felt the quotation had gone wrong somewhere, but she didn't think it would be polite to contradict the White Rabbit again. "And do these people come down every night?" she asked. "Every night there's a raid on," said the White Rabbit. "Do you mean by that every night when there's a raid, or there's a raid every night?" inquired Alice, a bit puzzled but polite. "It runs either way," he declared. "And when do the trains run?" asked Alice. "Ah, they don't run either way," explained the White Rabbit. "You see, this is a stationary station." "But who ever heard of a station without trains?" "Well," the White Rabbit replied, "we ever heard of a station with troglodytes before this?" This seemed unanswerable, so Alice then asked, "Are we going to spend the night here?" "There's no need to spend anything here. It's free," said the White Rabbit. "At some Wunderground stations, of course, you pay a penny halfpenny for your ticket." "And how far do you go for that?" "Oh, it doesn't get you anywhere. It just lets you in on the underground floor," explained the White Rabbit. "Well, anyhow," said Alice, who was getting very sleepy by now, "I think we ought to try and find somewhere to rest." They eventually found a corner just by the lift shaft, where the White Rabbit spread out a rug and some cushions. Alice couldn't help noticing that although the air was bad and the place was dusty and dirty, the people were very friendly and calm and even cheerful, and she thought, "Well, there can't be much wrong with people like that, if they can laugh in places like this." And she actually had, if not 40 winks that night, at least a good 25. But the idea of a station without trains, and a railway ticket which wasn't meant to take you anywhere, still puzzled her even in her dreams, and she woke up saying, "I wished I could get it all clear." "It is all clear," she heard the White Rabbit reply. "It went ages ago." He took out his watch. "Heavens!" she exclaimed. "The blackout's been out half an hour. It must be clear as daylight by now. I must go and search some rabbit food at once." He turned to Alice. "What about you? Like a nice tasty lettuce?" Alice followed him a trifle sleepily along the platform. "Which way's the exit?" she said. "Bacon and exit? A splendid idea," remarked the White Rabbit. "Then we'll go and expect London," Alice suggested. "That's a capital idea," the White Rabbit said. "And it's a great capital too." And he led the way to the Wunderground lift.